Hello learners, this is Optics and Electricity. We are going to see about Gauss law, proof and its differential form. First, let me summarize the lines of force. These lines of force emanate or originate from positive charge and negative charge symmetrically in all possible directions. The next we can say about lines of force is that these lines of force never cross each other, or these lines of force never intersect each other. We can also say this: if more are the lines of force, then the electric field is strong. Vice versa is also there. If the lines of force are less, then the electric field is feeble or weak. These lines of force are independent of the medium in which the charges are placed. The medium can be either solid, liquid, or gas. These lines of force enter or leave the surface normally, that is, they leave or enter perpendicularly. So, this is the summary about lines of force. Now, we are going to start with the famous law, Gauss law. This Gauss law is an inverse form of Coulomb's law. In Coulomb's law, what we found, we can calculate the electric field when we know the charge. The vice versa is the Gauss law. We can calculate the charge if the electric field is known. So this is Gauss law. Okay, what is the relation that connects Gauss law? Gauss law has a relation between electric flux over the closed surface. The surface here is the Gaussian surface. Gaussian surface, in order for making a understanding, I am just representing it as GS. What is this Gaussian surface? It is an imaginary hypothetical surface. And this Gaussian surface is applicable only to symmetrical charge distribution. Okay. So next we'll just make a equation for Gauss law. So consider a surface. Let the surface be S. Inside the surface I am going to mark a small differential area ds. So I have marked the E vector perpendicular, and this E vector is outward, and it means that the charges which is present in the surface are positive charges. ds vector is the surface vector that acts normal to the small differential element which we have chosen. So electric flux is equal to closed integral E dot ds is equal to q by epsilon naught. So this is Gauss law. The statement is the total electric flux over any closed surface is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the net charge enclosed within the surface. This is the famous statement given by Gauss. Let us see about the proof of Gauss law. So in this we are going to consider two cases. In case 1, for a charge inside the closed surface. So let us consider a closed surface S with positive charges inside the closed surface. So this is the point which I have considered, and a small differential element is also considered in the diagram. The distance between the point and the differential element is r. So O is the center point and ds is the differential element. The angle subtended by the differential element with respect to the point O is given by d omega. Let plus q be the point charge at the point O. The electric field lines move outward, so we can mark the electric field vector like this, as well as the ds vector which is perpendicular to the surface. Let the entire surface be marked as capital S. We know that by Coulomb's law we can write electric field vector as force by Q, or 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R square. At the same time we can mark the change in flux is equal to product of electric field and the differential surface element. So since it's a scalar dot product, we can write E ds cos theta. Theta is the angle between the electric field vector and the ds vector. So d5 is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square. So this is for E and ds cos theta, or this can be written as q by 4 pi epsilon naught ds cos theta by r square. This ds cos theta by r square can be considered to be the solid angle. Solid angle is subtended by the area ds at O. So it is the angle subtended by the area ds at the point O. Therefore, the change in electric flux d phi is equal to q by 4 pi epsilon naught into d phi. So this is for a single point charge. If we consider the entire surface, we can calculate the total electric flux as phi is equal to closed integral d phi is equal to q by 4 pi epsilon naught closed integral d phi. So if this solid angle is calculated for the entire surface, then it constitutes 4 pi. The total solid angle subtended by S at O is 4 pi. So 4 pi get cancelled, and we get the result as Q by epsilon naught. That is, electric flux is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the charge. So this is the proof for the case 1 for a charge inside the closed surface. This also gives the inference that Gauss law holds true for even if the number of charges q1, q2 up to q1 enclosed by a surface S. We know from the principle of superposition that the electric field due to number of charges is the vector sum of their individual fields. Now let us move into the case 2 for a charge outside the closed surface. Here too we consider a similar situation in which consider a surface with plus q charge situated at point O outside the closed surface. At the same time, I am considering a surface inside the surface also. we get an elementary cone from O with small solid angle d omega. Cut the closed surface ds1, which is an inward flux. So we are going to consider two surfaces. One is ds1, the other is ds2. So ds1 is marked like this. So d omega is the angle subtended by the surfaces, and this ds1 is the surface which is nearer to the point O, and it experiences an inward flux, whereas the flux through ds2 is an outward flux. So this is ds1, which experience inward flux, whereas ds2 experience outward flux. However, the magnitude of the flux through ds1 and ds2 are equal. Therefore, let phi1 and phi2 are the fluxes in each surface. Now we can calculate the total flux phi to be the sum of phi1 and phi2. The total flux through ds1 and ds2 can be written as the total flux phi is equal to phi1 plus phi2. Then we can substitute the values of phi1 as well as phi2 in this equation. So from the diagram, as we said that ds1 experiences an inward flux, we can write the equation as phi is equal to minus q by 4 pi epsilon naught d omega, which is the solid angle, plus q by 4 pi epsilon naught into d omega. So both get cancel out and we get the answer as 0. Therefore, the total flux due to the charge which is placed outside the closed surface is 0. Thus the total flux due to the charge outside is 0. So this is the proof of the Gauss law, differential form of Gauss law. Differential form of Gauss law for continuous charge distribution. We know the Gauss law as closed integral E dot ds is equal to q by epsilon naught. And this closed integral E dot ds can be written as integral del dot E into d tau, where the integral on the left side is surface integral and the integral on the right hand side is volume integral. This is called divergence theorem or Gauss divergence theorem. Here Q is the net charge enclosed within the surface. So Q is equal to volume integral rho dot d tau. So how do we get this equation? We know that charge density can be written as charge by volume. So if we need charge, we can write in terms of charge density and volume. So rho is equal to q by d tau, where d tau is the dx, dy, dz, considering x, y and z direction. Now, Gauss law becomes integral E dot ds is equal to integral over volume 1 by epsilon naught rho dot d tau is equal to integral over the volume del dot E dot d tau. So this we have written from Gauss divergence theorem. So we can compare these two equations now. So on comparison, we can write the terms without the integral and d tau as del dot T is equal to rho by epsilon naught. So this is one of the famous Maxwell's first equation. Here inverted delta is called as the operator. So this Gauss law is written in terms of the charge density and epsilon naught. This is the famous Maxwell's divergence form of electric field. This is the Maxwell's divergence form of electric field. Hope the information you have gathered from Gauss law, proof and its differential form is clear to you. Thanks for learning. This is MS Revati from CARE. Thank you.